My partner is taking you back about 50 years. I want to take you back in time even further. The beginning of the United States of America. In the 1700s, the United States fought a revolutionary war to break off from Great Britain. The whole basis of our country was to stop oppression from the government and to protect the rights of the people. This includes our First Amendment right to free speech. If we take away the right of these protesters to occupy public space, we are infringing on their First Amendment rights, our Constitution, the basis of this country. So the opponents have brought up some interesting points. First of all, they said that Martin Luther King had a permit. Well, okay, that's great that Martin Luther King had a permit, but the protesters at these lunch counters didn't have a permit, and these protesters at the lunch counters helped significantly to the movement so that we can live in the world we have today. If they just marched in and tried to get a permit, what would have happened to these poor African Americans who were trying to violate the law so that they could help the better of this country? And the problem is that, yes, they violated laws, but rules need to be broken to effect change. And they said that it's illegal to occupy certain spaces, such as San Francisco. Well, that's why we're arguing why they should be allowed to, because we want to make it allowed for them to occupy these public spaces, because we really feel that it is crucial to protect the First Amendment rights of the people. We have rights for a reason, and it is to stop government oppression. And if we infringe on these rights, we're infringing on the basis of our country. Now next, they said that there's anarchy in a lot of cities. Well, what about all these peaceful movements across the whole country? We're talking San Francisco, Santa Rosa, Chicago, Portland, Atlanta, Seattle, Salt Lake City, St. Louis. There are cities all around the country, and all of these cities have perfectly peaceful movements in which they're occupying public space. There are no riots, there's no violence, they're simply peacefully asking for change in government. You may not agree in the slightest with the Occupy Wall Street movement. However, that does not mean that these people should not have the right to occupy space. We are not asking for the right for them to occupy other people's property. We are asking that they have the First Amendment right and that their rights are protected to occupy public space. And making them get a permit so that they can exercise their rights of free speech is simply absurd. Now, the opposition further said that it would distract from the rights of others. So they're saying that we should take away from the rights of some movements so that we can protect the rights of other movements. We can't just take away the First Amendment rights of some people because we want to allow for the rights of others. The reason why we have these rights, whether you like them or not, whether you agree with these rights or not, we have them, and we cannot violate our Constitution, and we need to understand the significance and the importance of the Constitution and the First Amendment. So, in summary, I mean, we need to legalize this ability. We need to allow them to occupy public space, and they shouldn't have to get a permit to be able to exercise the right to occupy this space. I will now yield to questions.
But there has been some arguments going around that Occupy Park is actually a private-owned space. So what do you say to that?
Well, what you really have to do is figure out, draw the line. I mean, if it is private property, then they shouldn't be allowed to occupy it. All we're saying is that if there is public property that is owned by the government, then it is their First Amendment right to be able to occupy that territory and ask for a cause, which is exactly why we have our First Amendment.
So that will be Tom.
Thank